koroparani Liana. My name is Matasila Freshwater. I'm a filmmaker, predominantly a writer, director across animation, live action, and I'm based in Te Whanganui-a-Tara, Wellington, New Zealand. Yeah. I didn't think I wanted to make films growing up. I didn't really know. I love photography, so I thought I'd go down that path a little bit. I didn't think I'd be a writer, but I had written a lot as a kid, and I'd always write the same story, which was always about princes and princesses that would get married. I think they were also brother and sister, so it was a little ancestral. Yeah, so I didn't think I'd be a filmmaker, but I think I always loved storytelling, and I liked illustrating. I'm bad at it, but it was enjoyable. And my friend Chris Callis is an amazing animator, and so we sort of joined forces to start making some stuff. And it was cool because we didn't have to talk to people as two introverts. It was just us, so that was quite nice and accessible.
Lecter was a scientist, just like her dear old dad, whose morbid experimentations had slowly made her mad. To solve the food crisis, Lecter pondered an idea: to farm a different kind of meat from the resources still here.
I love delegating, even though I also am kind of a control freak. But it's really nice when you have people on board that you can just trust and who are really great and just enhance the vision and bring stuff to it that you can't, That's why you have HODs, that's why you bring your team together. So I do really love that, but I do know that I like to have a hand and stuff, and I like to be involved in the process. I also think, especially in animation, I don't animate, but I used to create assets that would be animated by Chris, so I think understanding the entire process makes my job better because I can understand what the team is doing, I can ask the questions, and hopefully we can solve the problems, I'm very suspicious of earnestness too. I think you can craft earnestness in a way that isn't earnest or isn't real. And I think silliness is something that can get us close to really big topics and really important things in an accessible way, in safe ways, in profound ways, in surprising ways. And I think that is why it's such a great avenue for storytelling, and I just think I'm a silly person.
Where have you been? You're late.
I wasn't sure if this was the right place.
I don't know about right, but it's certainly a place.
I have this? That can't be hygienic.
I think film is accessible. I think it can do a lot of different things at the same time. It shares the human experience. It can be fun, it can be silly, it can be meaningful, it can be heavy. But I think that what I love about it is that it's this accessible way into a world that can hopefully shift you as a person and shift your cultural values and assumptions and challenge the status quo, which I really love. I think working in live action and animation is really nice. The pace is different. Animation takes a long time, and there's a long time up front. It's kind of like you're always in pre-production, building the assets and then doing the animatics, and there's not much to surprise you, but there's lots to delight you at each stage. You kind of get life from every step in it, and that's really fulfilling, especially when it takes such a long time. With live action, it feels like you've got this set amount of time and you're doing all this prep, and it's kind of like an orchestra, and you just hope that on the day it can all come together and work in this amazing crescendo. But also you get a different sort of surprise that you don't necessarily get in animation all the time, which is also really lovely. You kind of let go and the project and the process takes over and you're just sort of facilitating it along, and hopefully it's not terrible.
So this is what she learned at that Flash University, how to cause trouble. You have these thoughts.
These thoughts, they're my own Elvis. My family, my village has sacrificed so much for me to be here, and I'm not going to waste that.
Vi was something where the structure had been laid out, but we were really bringing our own stories to the piece, and so it allowed all of us to really own our stories and take authorship of that. You know, of course, with an incredible team that were so collaborative and so supportive and really on board with all the challenges. Like my piece had actors on water with the hermit crab. You know, like it's a lot of elements you're pulling together. It's quite ambitious. And for me, who had never done live action before, right? I came from animation. You just build the water and you build the canoe and it's there, and it's like, that's easy. In real life, there are waves and there are other people and boats, and I just didn't consider that in the writing process. And I think that was also a good thing for me because I wasn't restricted by the expectations of the real world.
Tuturi, saput ya kamire. Saput waya. Asa saku ya. Asa.
I only got one day to shoot the drama on top of the water, and there's a sequence in which the protagonist dives underwater, and we didn't get it on the day that we're meant to. We were flying out the next day, and I was just like, we have to get this shot. You know, it's an important moment for her. She deserves it. We need it for the story. And Kira's like, great, we're going to get a skeleton crew. We're going to the location in the early morning, and we're going to get our plane in the next hours. So we show up to this shipwreck. Tawhale had found this amazing shipwreck, and the boat didn't arrive that was supposed to with the canoe, but there was someone on the beach who had a canoe. So we're like, great, we'll just take that. We all swam out to the shipwreck. The camera operator expelled his lungs to get that shot underwater, and I was just sitting on this World War II shipwreck being like, this is wild. I wrote this story and we were all here fighting for it, and now we got to catch a plane to Fiji. I was like, this is amazing. And I felt very grateful and yeah, just really happy and relieved. When I've been working on projects that have the concept has already been decided and you're just coming in as a writer, I find it quite freeing. That's really quite lovely to have that space to just do the work and serve the project and adhere to. You do get the opportunities to play and have your own vision put in, but it's quite nice to not have the weight of your own soul and culture and identity on you when you're telling those stories. So I find that really nice, and I think it also helps with your craft. It just helps you see the moments, get the structure, get the beats. I think it's also good to learn how to hear feedback and who you trust for feedback, because I think that's a process in sort of navigating. I think a lot of people are really good at having opinions, but they don't necessarily get down to what the layers of the issues are, but they're really good at identifying there's something not working here. And I think as a writer, then it's your job to be like, well, that's not right, but oh yes, here's where the issue is. So it's a lot of diagnosis, and I think that's the same for when you bring people in. And I think it's always wonderful to have collaboration and necessary, but I think as a writer we do need to kind of hide away at points and be that gremlin in the dark before you bring someone in.
Kaingagita, simaenda, pakolo, palamana. Kaingagita, simaenda, kosagiusu. Ikikainga gita, simaida, kwasa mepeso ye.
I would love to see more support for creatives in earlier stages, and I think there's a lot of work that goes into getting a pitch ready for development money that is sort of unpaid labour. I have been fortunate to receive arts funding before, and that has allowed me the space and time to hone my craft, come up with ideas, put things together without having to worry too much about a 9-to-5 to pay the bills. So I think for, you know, more emerging artists, that would be amazing and such a game changer. One of the best things I was told by a writer, filmmaker, was that I shouldn't really worry about what my voice is, you know, like, and so instead of thinking that you have to have a brand and go to these funding bodies and be like, this is my voice and can you see that? I just focus on what the story is and what I want to tell about it and why I have to be the person to tell that story. And I think inherently, you know, similar patterns come out about what your voice is and what you're interested in and what you stand for. So I think just being honest about what your project is and what the story is you're trying to tell certainly helps. And especially for funding bodies who want to know why, you know, like it's cool you have a cool project, cool you have these people attached, but like, why do you want to tell it? I think that's probably the most important thing.